and grass dominate on drier, well-drained soils. Some common trees in the African savanna include massive baobabs and deep-rooted acacias. In South American savannas, dominant grasses include species of grasses that are drought-tolerant and fire-resistant. Australia's savannas consist largely of native evergreen eucalyptus trees. Australia also has a unique species of baobab tree.
Savannas are always found in warm or hot climates, in a period of heavy rainfall or a period of complete dryness. It is crucial that the rainfall is concentrated in 6 or 8 months of the year, followed by a long period of drought when fires can occur. If the rain were well distributed throughout the year, many areas would become tropical forests. Savannas which result from climatic conditions are called climatic savannas. The savanna only has 2 seasons, summer and winter. Precipitation only falls during the summer months, usually from May to August, with June and July having the heaviest rain. During this wet season, at least 25 to 50 inches will fall. The rain, which is blown in from the equator to the north, causes a lot of flooding in local areas. The whole dry season during winter usually receives less than 4 inches of rain, causing water to become scarce and rivers and streams to dry up. During this distinct dry season, most of the plants shrivel up and die. This results in most of the animals to migrate in order to find food.
The intensity of sunlight in these areas causes tropical savannas to be some of the hottest regions in the world. Tropical savannas exist in East and Central Africa, Australia, and South American countries. Since tropical savannas are so close to the equator, plants receive 10 to 12 hours of sunlight during most days of the year. This is due to the open land and large distances between the trees and shrubs.
The savanna climate has a temperature range of 68 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature is usually cooler during the dry season of the winter by a few degrees, usually about 68 to 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Since it is between tropical latitudes, the temperature still remains fairly warm. In the summer, the temperature ranges from 78 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. In a savanna, the temperature does not change a lot, but when it does, it is very gradual and not drastic.
The soil of the savanna is porous, with rapid drainage of water. It has only a thin layer of humus, which is the organic portion of the soil created by partial decomposition of a plant or animal matter, which provides vegetation with nutrients. The fertility of the soil in the savanna is largely impacted by rainfall.
There are a large amount of limiting factors in the savanna. One example is wildfires. If trees are too sparsely spaced in savannas, it is because of recurrent wildfires killing or suppressing tree seedlings. This is important because unrestricted growth of trees can lead to the formation of a dense canopy and hinder grass growth, eventually turning the grassland into a dense tropical forest. Wildfires are especially common during the dry season when heat and dry conditions provide a conducive environment. These include both natural wildfires caused by lightning and human-lit wildfires.
Another limiting factor is the seasonal availability of water. This determines the population of both plants and animals in savannas. During the dry season, things get worse in this ecosystem as many rivers and streams dry up, forcing species to migrate to other parts in search of water. As a result, only those species that are equipped with a complex root system that can help them retain water are found in this biome.
Precipitation plays a crucial role in almost all of the biomes of the world, and the savanna grassland biome is no exception. It is a density-independent factor, meaning it affects all species regardless of the population density. In savannas, rainfall occurs for half of the year during the wet season, while the other half is completely dry. Also, high amount of rainfall in the wet months washes away all the nutrients in the soil and makes it less fertile. This, in turn, reduces the number of plant species that thrive in this ecosystem.
There are many animal adaptations that have occurred within the savanna. One example is the giraffe. Giraffes evolved a long neck to reach leaves and branches, as well as a long, thick tongue, which is basically impervious to spiny foliage. The long neck allows a giraffe to have an advantage over other organisms, since they are the only ones able to reach the leaves on the tops of trees. Since the trees have begun to grow thorns on their leaves to reduce the number of organisms who feed off of them, the giraffe uses its flexible tongue to pick around the thorns. Since giraffes do not have as much competition for food like other species, it increases their ability to survive, and they do not have to migrate to other areas in search of food as often.
Elephants, which have wrinkly skin to trap moisture, use their large ears to increase their surface area and more easily dissipate heat. During the dry months, their large ears allow them to cool off without the need of water. Their long trunk is another adaptation that is a result of the hot climate in the savanna. An elephant will suck up water in its trunk and then spray it into their mouth or all over their body to cool off. Similarly, they also have learned to use mud as a way to cool down and protect their skin from the sun and biting pests by using their trunk to throw dirt on their back.
Many herbivores, like gazelles and wildebeest, have adapted to the open land using their speed. These species are able to go long distances with little water and are able to run quickly across the savanna from potential predators. Without this speed and stamina, gazelles and wildebeest would not be able to eat grass or plants in the open fields without getting killed by their predator.
Zebras have stripes for defense purposes. The stripe markings make it difficult for predators to target individual zebras in a large herd. Stripes also blur a zebra's image as it runs from a predator. Zebras have legs that are long and slender but very strong, enabling them to run up to 40 miles per hour to escape predators.
As for plant adaptations, most have adapted to the arid conditions and have developed underground storage of starches or have decreased their surface area by growing small, needle-like leaves. Many plants have roots that grow deep in the ground, where most water can be found. This defense also allows the plant to survive fires because the root is undamaged and can regrow after the fire. Since plants are a limiting factor themselves in a savanna, they have newer features to try and limit the number of animals who feed off of them. The needled leaves are one of these adaptations because the sharp points prevent the animals from feeding off of them.
The baobab tree has adapted to the savanna biome by only producing leaves during the wet season. When leaves do grow, they are in tiny finger-like clusters. The small size of the leaves helps limit water loss, so the tree can survive longer than the wet season lasts. Another adaptation that enables the baobab tree to survive the long months of the drought is its ability to store water in its large trunk. The large trunk is made of spongy, porous bark, which allows the tree to absorb as much water as possible in times of rain and store it for use during times of scarcity or drought. A third adaptation is the slick and shiny outer bark. Sunlight and heat are reflected off of the tree, keeping it cool in the intense savanna sun.
The acacia tree can survive drought conditions because it has developed long tap roots that can reach deep ground water resources. This adaptation makes the tree fire resistant, which protects it from wildfires. Some types of acacia trees re-sprout from the root when the above ground portion of the tree is damaged by a fire. However, fire is not the only hazard faced by the acacia tree. The acacia tree has developed very useful physical and behavioral adaptations to discourage animals from eating its leaves. It developed long, sharp thorns as a symbiotic relationship with stinging ants. The ants live in acacia thorns they have hollowed out, and they feed on the nectar produced by the tree. When an animal takes a bite of leaves and thorns, it also gets a mouthful of angry, stinging bees. The ants defend their homes from other insects, as well as protecting the acacia tree.
There are many types of community interactions that occur within a savanna. One type is mutualism. On the African savanna, a small bird, kind of like a canary, lives on the back of an elephant, rhino, or giraffe. This little bird cleans the creature and rids it of ticks and other pests, while in return, the bigger animal provides the bird protection from predators.
Commensalism also occurs in the savanna when vultures, hyenas, or other scavenger animals feed off of the remains of another animal's kill, such as a lion's. The hyena or vulture is getting the food it needs to survive, while the other lions go about unaffected by their actions.
Predation occurs when the wild dog eats the gazelle. When hunting gazelles, hunting dogs use their strategy and numbers to their advantage to overcome more agile and faster prey, such as the gazelle. This is an important predation example because the gazelle population is being put in check by the hunting dogs to prevent overgrazing.
Humans have impacted the savannas greatly. Humans are making the savanna a large place for tourism and urban developments, which are causing the animals that live there to lose their habitats. Also, the savanna has developed the label of the home of exotic animals, and that has drawn poachers into the savanna, who have been hunting these animals that live there. White rhinos may be extinct in 20 years with the current poaching rates. The white rhino and other mega herbivores are key drivers of ecosystem functioning because they're not controlled by predation. The loss of this mega herbivore is a tragedy in itself, but it may also have tremendous effects on the ecosystem they live in now.
Elephant poaching for ivory was so rampant in the 1970s and 80s that 2/3 of the African elephant population was killed. Other smaller animals have also been hunted mercilessly. In this way, humans have removed many native animals from their surroundings. Extracting key native animal species ruins the ecological balance of the ecosystem. When animals that once played an important role in maintaining the ecosystem disappear, and no other animals fill their niches and perform similar ecological roles, parts of the African savanna begin to change into a different ecosystem. This negatively impacts the remaining animals and vegetation.
Degradation of the savanna is being caused by the increase in its use by humans. There is less vegetation and the soil is degraded, which is resulting in problems with nutrients and water. There are over 800 species of trees and shrubs in savannas, but much of these biomes are being cleared so crops such as beans, corn, and rice can be grown and for other such agricultural uses.
Wildfires are essential to maintaining natural landscapes of the savanna by removing dead and decaying organic material and thus rebalancing the ecosystem environment, but humans increasingly prevent fires to protect pasture and farmlands. Fire prevention in the savanna threatens the ecosystem because without fires, bushes spread quickly, changing the makeup of the savanna and turning it into a long-term forested area. Meanwhile, organic matter and litter accumulate to such an extent that when fires do set in, they end up being massive and destructive to the landscape environment on a large scale. However, overburning by humans to reduce bush encroachment and natural re-recruitment of trees leads the ecosystem to be more vulnerable to invasion by foreign species, which further transforms and upsets the balance of the land.
Some conservation techniques have gone into effect. To repair the damage, people are creating controlled burning programs to keep worse fires from developing and creating nature preserves to keep the savanna natural. These burning programs use fire to clear the dead and dying vegetation in the area, which allows fresh, new growth and regeneration of grasslands. A biosphere reserve in South Africa was also set up to help protect the environment. There are also many conservation areas that are naturally enclosed to help species raise their young, protect wildlife from poachers, and protect the ecosystem.